Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GT4 Racing here on RCI TV, Season 4 in GT4 and Round 3 of this championship. Two 30-minute sprint races coming at you. Hope you're well wherever you are in the world. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Tim Peck and Christian Stricker in the booth. And first and foremost, we do apologize. Every single one of us is ailing from something today, but like they say, Tim, the show must go on.
The show must go on indeed, and we've got a very exciting racetrack for you today. We're here at Donington Park, arguably my favourite track out of the series so far, and well, you said you enjoyed it yourself, so we're hoping to see a bit of action today. Some of the cars that maybe struggled a little bit in the other races, like the Chevrolet, we're looking to do a lot better today and hopefully spice up the grid a bit. We only have 23 cars right now. I think we're due 25, but we do have a much reduced grid today, which should also bring quite a lot of close racing in. So, very excited, Jesse.
Well, if you weren't here a week ago when we were at Zolder, well, it was an exercise in frustration for a lot of drivers. We've had disqualifications from the championship, and I have checked with head steward just to see how many penalty points you could accrue before you are disqualified. And fair to say, Tim, there's a couple drivers that are teetering on the edge of getting disqualified for one more incident even still. So a lot of teams on the back foot early in this championship.
Yeah, and of course all the drivers have received just a little warning now to say, can we drive a bit safer, please? Because last week, as exciting as it was for us here, and obviously you guys to watch, it was probably very brutal when you were out on track and just having cars flying at you left, right and centre. So we're looking for a bit more clean racing today, but that doesn't have to mean it's less exciting.
Yeah, I personally, when we were told of the smaller grid, I reckon it's actually going to be more interesting because personally, I felt like the first two rounds we had a ton of cars on track and it caused some of the incidents we had. Now we have what I would say is a normal grid, a normal size grid. I think this is going to be brilliant. Donington is one of my favorite tracks. I always said Donington Park is in the top 3 of my favorite tracks. It's hard to tell between the 3 of them, to be fair, but it's definitely one of them. And such a lovely place, and it's unspoiled from any major modifications, and that's what makes it particularly great itself. It is completely dark, it must be said, here at the end of practice. We will be racing into the evening as well, so a new challenge for the drivers as well.
I don't think I've seen a dark race here yet, so I'm very excited to see how that one pans out. And yes, I do say I have to agree. I think a smaller grid could be very interesting here, and it could bring out quite a lot of good fights. Looking at the people here, there are a lot of recurring characters here. You've obviously got Fisher and Abeladze battling out at the front. Verstappen's down in 4th currently in the practice, so a lot of bigger names in this championship. All will be looking for a good result today, and I'm really excited to see the fights that we get given. And it looks like we're coming to the end of practice now. Quali will be next. Yeah. Let me refresh my memory on how long Quali is. Is it 10 minutes in this series, isn't it?
It's 10 or 15. It actually just might be 10. But do so many championships here, folks. You will forgive us. We do sometimes forget because they all are a bit different. We have 30-minute quali for a split grid, right? And then there's 15-minute quali for your normal grid. But also we have sprint qualifying for some events, and let me just make sure.
I can confirm it is 10 minutes. I've just had a little look at the info. So we've got 10 minutes quali coming up, which is starting now, and then we'll have race 1, which is half an hour, and race 2 is also half an hour. Both grids will be decided by qualifying. There's no reverse grid, there's no grid based off race 1, so qualifying here is extremely important. And with only 10 minutes, you'll probably only getting 5 or 6 good lap times in. So, well, let's see where they all place.
It's so easy to mess up your lap around here as well. Dipping one tire off will mean the end of that lap. And, well, qualifying is important anywhere you go. It's very important here. You don't want to be in the pack here, folks. You want to be up front, ideally, or well, nowhere at all, to be honest. It's an unforgiving circuit, and especially if you are having to race in sort of the middle area. Looking at chat, as we always do here. Was talking in pre-chat about the Donington being a good race. Tori Clark says Donington's always good. Right, you are, Mr. or Mrs. Clark. Macklin asks, how's the weather? Well, so far it's holding up. It's only partly cloudy here at 9 p.m. It was that way in practice as well.
And it looks like Ertan in the KTM might be first on track. Oh no, he's gone out second. I believe Roberts actually might have got out before everyone else. So the cars are coming around now. We're just coming up towards the start-finish straight. And we can see what sort of laps are being placed. There's quite a big group forming at the front there, so they might want to start giving each other space if they want to get in a quick lap. But, well, it's like you say, very, very hard to find space in this track, and you really do have to clobber those corners quite hard, so there's a lot of room for error, which could make this qualifying very interesting.
Well, this is Christoph Verstappen here in the 747. Now, I don't know who that is in front of Verstappen, but they are trusting that car in front of them to maintain their own pace and not impede their lap at all. So if that car in front has a problem, that is going to ruin the lap of the 747. A lot of trust when you're this close to the other cars.
And you could already see lots of dirt is getting kicked up on these corners, so you just have to put your foot down and go with it here, really. And as you say, a lot of trust from Verstappen, not only just to make sure that, I think it's Crozen ahead of him, doesn't mess up his lap, but just so that he doesn't get that much dirt in his face that he can't see where he's going. So, like you say, a lot of trust is having to be done here, but these guys have raced with each other before, and they more or less know each other's strengths, you'd hope, by now. And obviously Crozen, the BMW, will hopefully be able to just keep it a nice gap to Verstappen right now as they come through the S's. And I mean, I don't know what you think about this lap. It looks fairly standard to me, a pretty good lap from Verstappen, but hopefully throughout qualifying we might see a little bit faster. But as far as first laps go, I'd say this is a solid start.
Yeah, all these cars are just looking to get that nice lap in, no dramas, get a banker in, and then absolutely go for it. And if they invalidate after that, that's fine, because they're only looking for one thing. And Verstappen does go to the top. Adenberg Ertan second, and Mikowski third. That's all within 18/100ths of a second, by the way, from the top three. And that was Mikowski, we were told, that was in front of Verstappen there, as they all set laps really close to one another. But Garrett Fisher goes to the top, and I felt like we expected this. A 34.686, that's as expected, Tim.
Yeah, that was a very solid lap there from Fisher, who has done very well in this championship so far. We see Roberts go a little bit wide there into the final corner, so not ideal, and we'll have to continue searching for that brilliant lap there, but he's got more than enough time to give it another couple of shots. We've still got 5 minutes left on the clock for qualifying, so there's plenty of time for these times to be improved. Yeah, a 1:34. Probably, I'd say, where we're looking for a pole position here, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't expect to see a 1:33 really coming out of this group.
No, I don't think we're going to get into the 33s. We may flirt with it, though, as Verstappen now 1/10 off of Garrett Fisher's time. Let me go back to Phil Roberts for a second. He was flashing his lights. He had nobody in front of him. He must have been doing that for our broadcaster, Christian Stricker. How did he know that he was on himself there?
Well, he must have just sensed it. Our broadcaster, obviously, Christian, has been doing a brilliant job so far. Captured all of the entertainment of the last two races, which I must admit I was struggling to keep up with at some points. So a big shout out to Christian there, always knowing where to find the cars that are doing interesting things on track. And Roberts also clearly has a lot of faith, because he knew he was on camera, as you say, and was flashing his lights to say, look at me, I've gone wide.
That's I'm pretty sure he wasn't celebrating that, but he'll be
I
very
don't
happy,
know.
Phil Roberts, that that was caught on camera. Jordan Daly, who is 1.5 seconds off the pace, looking good here for an improvement in the 197 BMW, and in fact goes all the way into the top 5. 34.629, 3/4 of a second off of Calandrino's ultimate pace. Oh my goodness, we have had a 33.891 from Calandrino. Andy Boardman to second now. Chris Rubliar third, Svinchek fourth, and Daly fifth. Our top 5 has completely flipped.
Yeah, that is a big surprise, but a big well done to Calandrino there in the Porsche. The Porsches, first and second, Calandrino and Boardman, are looking really good so far. So we'll see if they can keep that pace, and if that is the Porsche thing. Might just be the drivers have done an exceptional lap, and we might see more people into the 133s now. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, you weren't either, so big hand out there to Calandrino for a massive lap.
Yeah, I don't know if I expected anything like that. A 33.891 is pretty darn impressive as Andy Boardman improves the 34.158, getting him a little closer to the 2 in front. Verstappen was second for a moment, but Garrett Fisher comes back across the line, a 33.975 of his own. It looks like you are going to have to do a 33 to be anywhere near the front of this grid. That's very surprising.
Yeah, and that's 2 drivers in the 133s now. Fisher clearly looking to get a very good position this weekend. He's been doing really well so far consistently. He's always been around that 3rd place on the podium in every single race. So one of our most consistent in the championship so far, and probably one of the scary ones that's going to be fighting at the top. I mean, like we've always said here, consistency is key, and as long as you can find those consistent race results, you're looking at a very good position for the rest of the championship. We're on board now with, well, Fisher still, as he looks to be doing another lap. I'm not sure if this one's an improvement. Oh, I've just been informed this could actually be pole position, so we'll watch him carefully now as he comes through the S's. You can make or break a lap here at Donington Park, and it looks pretty good. There was a little bit of a dip there, but he kept a fairly straight line through that, and he's had a good exit. So coming around these final 2 hairpins, you've got Melbourne and Goddard's, and if he can keep it together, then he'll be on pole position here.
One more turn. Don't mess it up now for Garrett Fisher, who's chasing a 33.891. This could potentially be it. They're going to diamond this corner off and get on the straightaway. Is it good enough? Did he lose a bit of time there? We're about to find out. And yes, he did. Yes, he did lose a little bit of time. A 33.975 was his best. He ran a 34, losing it all from where the extra little boot is to the start-finish line. You hate to see it.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate, but it's just one of those corners. That last section from the S's all the way up to Goddard's there, where we just saw Fisher go that little bit wide. It's so hard to get right, and sadly it's the very end of the track as well, so you really do have to keep it together. And if you find speed in that first sector, then it's a lot of pressure to keep it up. I know I was actually recently doing a couple of laps in the GT4s around Donington, and that is exactly where I was also starting to panic, was as you go into the S's, you're thinking, okay, I need to keep the speed up now, and that one small mistake could be what it takes to lose all that time. So Fisher not quite making pole on that lap, but with 1 minute left and, well, 1 lap left for him of qualifying, he may be yet to find it.
Yeah, he's out on another lap. He's going to have this shot at it. What can Fabio Calandrino do? Already on pole, but now being threatened by a couple of cars. I will tell you, Verstappen and Boardman will take no further part in this qualifying session. Harsvord also in from the top 10 and waving the white flag. Well, what can Calandrino do coming to the line? That wasn't an improvement. What about Garrett Fisher, who is in the tow of a Maserati? Was this good enough? No, it was. Actually, it was. It was quicker indeed. A 9.66, but not good enough to take pole away from Calandrino. Chris Rubliar in the number 17. The man that, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all, goes into the top 5 at the end of qualifying. Only a few cars left. And what about Abeladze here? Abeladze needs to get a better starting spot than 9th place here. Could this be the lap? He doesn't have a choice. It has to be the lap.
And it looks like he's up, so we'll see where he places now. And he's put
There it
himself up there in 4th, so he's up in the top 5. He's just kicked Rubelar down to 6th place, so Rubelar will not be happy with that. But Abeladze won twice last week with what looked like some fairly easy races for him. He had quite a lot of pressure from behind for most of the race, and then obviously, sadly, can't even remember who it was now. Was it towards Zidlo? He got that drive through right at the end, so Abeladze will be looking again to get a very good result this weekend. As we see the final cars coming across the line, Mikowski slots himself there into 16th. Just a nice mid-ground position where he can hopefully climb a few places in the races.
Oh, Luke Wigg all the way off the racetrack there. Did that invalidate? No, it didn't, but it will not be a quicker lap in the Alpine. Well, that concludes qualifying. And why did we make such a big deal about Abeladze being up inside the top 5? Well, you're about to find out. These are the championship standings, and this is how we have gotten to this point. This is backwards, by the way. Abeladze is actually the de facto championship leader. He is tied with Garrett Fisher, but on a countback, which is what RCI would do if they were tied at the end of the championship, Abeladze would win the tiebreaker based on his wins, pole positions, etc., and so forth. So it is reversed on this scoring, but I can guarantee you they are very much tied at 215 points. But Abeladze is the de facto championship leader today, and they will line up nose to tail tonight. Verstappen in 3rd at 185. Villa in 4th place, who has accrued a lot of penalty points, mind you, in the one with 177. Busek in the 64 has 126 points. Behind him, very close racing still between Krozen and Ertan, and even back still, closer still, Harsvar, Twardzillo, and Wajna in the top 10.
And here's the second page coming up now. You've got Svensik sitting pretty there in 11th place, closely followed by Jake Boswell, who's only actually 2 points off. Both of them will be looking to fight their way into the top 10. I actually believe that Svensik is tied in points with the 10th person, so one good result and he could be above them. Mikowski and Boardman are in 13th and 14th. Zarka in 15th with 72 points, tied with Boardman again, so a lot of ties so far in this championship. Rubelar, after a couple of unfortunate races, leading them, and then obviously a little bit of consistency issues, but he's in 16th. He'll be looking to maybe push that position up a bit. Calangino and Castellayad follow up in 17th and 18th, and Tom Bryant and McConnell will round out the top 20.
And now for the drivers that are struggling just a bit. Martin Lawrence, all these drivers are going to be separated by only a handful of points. Mulholland in 22nd. Arasser just a few points back in 23rd. Pimlott, Gasper, all separated by just 2 or 3 points. Then a little bit of a gap behind Jordan Daly and Phil Roberts, a few points apart. LaFay and Wig also the same, and Hopner rounds out the top 30 with 21.
And then in 31st place, we've got Machuska and then Billy Octane, both in Maseratis, both on 21 points, both next to each other in the championship. So doing very well for the car there. You've got Krozen in 33rd with Varga in 34th, again tied on points. Harley Chamberlain will come up in 35th. He's got 14, and then we fall back a bit to Vasiliev in 36th and Lardier in 37th. Right at the back, only picked up a couple of points, but there's still a couple of points there. Magnani and Hovarth are in 38th and 39th, and Jelinek is 40th place.
Well, we mentioned that there was some post-race adjudication that had taken place. There is no live stewarding on Thursdays, and all stewarding is done post-race. Well, Alexander Bordai has found themselves disqualified from the championship for accruing too many penalty points on the season. I was talking to lead steward Tom Bryant on how many you could get before you were disqualified. Well, the answer is 10, and you get 10, you get disqualified from the championship. And as we alluded to, there are several drivers teetering on that. The number 300 car, Carlos, they are very close. They've got 9 penalty points. In fact, Calandrino has 8 penalty points themselves. 8.5 penalty points for Joseph Varga. 7 penalty points for Magnani. Even 4, as high up in the championship as Samuel Villa is, he has 4 penalty points. A lot of drivers got to be on their best behavior, Tim.
Yeah, we said that before the race as well, didn't we? As obviously last week was so hectic and there were a lot of accidents. So I agree. I think all drivers will be on their best behaviours. We're about to do the warm-up lap for this race here at Donington today. Calandrino started on pole. That's got to feel good. I mean, he's been a fairly consistent person, that Porsche. I've not seen a lot of him up there. I think he's just about made top 10 in a couple of the races, so I think he will be ecstatic to start on pole today. Fischer starting second right behind him. That will be his best start of the season. And Verstappen, rather familiar with starting up high, will be hoping to hold that position this weekend and maybe even push for a first place.
Well, that lap by Abeladze was absolutely necessary. They are going to start right behind their championship rival. And for everybody else, they are just trying to keep up and not make any mistakes. Still a lot of time in this championship. The first of 2 races tonight. We're glad that you are with us here on RCI TV. If you're cheering for a driver tonight, let us know in chat who you are cheering for. And of course, a big thank you to all of our partners that make this race and every race possible here on RCI TV, Race Department, AK Informatica, Driver 61, Fanatec, and Sim Racing GP. More information about those lovely folks in the description, and I reckon I'll give you a discount code off driver coaching at some point in the race as well. Getting ready to start race 1. It's still light out, 8 p.m., and it won't get really fully dark, but it is the lowest light that they have dealt with thus far. They have got some practice and some quali in the low light, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And if you weren't with us earlier, we did mention that we are down some cars that have not been disqualified. They've not signed out of the championship. They're just not here this particular week. But Tim and I reckon that's actually going to help the racing.
And we see Boardman here. He's been zigzagging back and forth across that straight just to get some heat into those tyres. Obviously, it's essential for the GT4s because unlike the GT3s, they do not get tyre blankets when they're in the pits. So they do start with absolutely frozen solid tyres. So as always, I'm surprised there's not more people wiggling around, but you can see a couple of them wiggling through. A bit of shenanigans, actually. I don't know if you noticed, but at some point, Abeladze was up into second place in that warm-up lap. But he did drop back down, so just every car is trying to slot into their place, coming through these last couple of hairpins as we're about to come onto the start-finish straight. And, well, Jesse Lee, who do you think is going to do well in this race?
I reckon Calandrino is going to have his work cut out for him, but I reckon he might be able to do it. I think Abeladze will be more interested in Garrett Fischer than anything else, but don't count anybody in that top 5 out. Even Andy Boardman has a shot as we come down across the line, but that isn't the line they use. Now the green flag is out and they are down and gone. Garrett Fischer actually gets a decent launch on the outside, but it will be no match for Calandrino on the inside. And here comes Verstappen, and they're going to take second place away as Abeladze and Boardman fight behind them as they're single file for the top 3.
What a brilliant start from Verstappen there. He just put his nose right through the inside of Fischer there, just saying, this is my spot now. And he's going to start pulling away. Ertan, it looks like he's dropped a couple of places in that KTM. So the cars that started on the outside there, I believe would have been the cars in the even numbers, the 2s, the 4s and 6s. They've struggled a lot with the start. Quite unsurprisingly, I mean, the inside is where you want to be on this track, as we see most of the pack come through now. It's a fight for 15th, 16th between Erase and Mikowski, and it looks like Mikowski is going to go down the inside. I believe I've got the right car there. No, that is actually Erase who's gone down the inside of Crozen. So a great fight here for 15th place. We will see how that one pans out, as the lead pack, I think, have now sorted themselves out, and we're just filing into those places as we look for a couple of positions to come through. Going through that chicane, managed to avoid contact. So comparing it to last week, a fairly clean start there, Jesse Lee.
Yeah, there was a couple of contacts on that opening lap, but nothing that sent any cars flying. I'm pretty sure I saw Harley Chamberlain angry at Wolf Matushka there, flashing the lights furiously for some reason. We didn't catch what caused that, but we did catch the aftermath, as Busek trying to get a position here and will not get the option, as Adamar Gertan is a bit like the cork in the bottle right now in that KTM. And look at this, Verstappen, who had that great launch up the inside to take second, has now taken the lead from Calandrino. A Chevrolet Camaro, of all things, leads at Donington.
And we were saying before the race that the Chevrolet was looking so good here at Donington, and Verstappen is really showing us what that car can do. I mean, what a first lap from him. Yeah, well, not quite showing us what he can do in lap 2, but lap 1, what a phenomenal lap. As it looks like Fisher is looking for a move on Calandrino there and can't quite find it, but Fisher is right there and he's got a lot of exit there on the straight. It looks like he might actually be able to power through, and well, Fisher's looking for the move. He's going up into the S's here. Is he going to make a move for it? It looks like he holds back for now. I think it's a smart choice. There could have been a big accident there if he looked for it. But what a fight for second place is turning out to be. And Verstappen, brilliant first lap from him to take him from third to first.
Well, here's the thing about Garrett Fisher. Garrett Fisher knows that Abeladze's behind him. Oh, it's going to be a spin. No. It's going to be a spin. Calandrino is spun in the hairpin by Garrett Fisher. And I think Abeladze has got, yes, Abeladze's through.
Oh no, that is not what you want to see. Fisher there just couldn't quite find any space and has spun out Calandrino, who's dropping through the pack quite fast. But Abeladze, he's going to be happy with that. He's now past Fisher, who is currently his championship rival. And well, it's now a game of catch up with Verstappen, who will be threatening his championship lead as well, as we cut to a race replay to see what happened here. And it looks like Fisher's quite far back. Takes a lot of speed through the corner, and he just catches the tail of Calandrino there, and he has completely spun him out, and that is unfortunate for Calandrino.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate for Calandrino. That's out of character for Fisher, who to this point hasn't shown up on the penalty report. So that's very out of character there. Just perhaps a misjudgment of distance, and you know, sometimes a little bit of a touch right there. Matushka touching the back of the 107, a spin check, and that's going to get him out of sorts. And that might let Mikowski through, and in fact, it does.
And that's why you've just got to keep as much grip as possible here, because although it's a very twisty, turny circuit, you just need to keep that speed up. I mean, you saw one little wobble from Schwenzik, and he's already falling through the pack, as everyone's really capitalizing off it now. I mean, he's trying to keep on the back of Mikowski. It looks like he's doing a fairly good job, as Erase and Chamberlain do fall back a little bit here. Oh, it looks like there's a big fight going on around the hairpin. Oh, Chamberlain's getting squeezed a little bit and pushed out to the side.
Oh,
wow.
No!
Oh, no, someone else has gone. Oh, who is that?
That wasn't Jake Boswell, was it? Was that Vasiliev?
It doesn't look like
perhaps?
Boswell's livery.
That was Vasiliev, yeah.
And it looks like Phil Roberts there has spun out Vasiliev, the exact same hairpin. That's starting to look rather deadly there, Jesse Lee.
Yeah, that's Calamity Corner tonight, Tim. I mean, 2 accidents in 2 laps. It's rather unfortunately is the way it is. Well, look, Fisher is trying to get around Abeladze. This is for the championship lead right here. These two don't need live points. It's big contact. Garrett Fisher's going to go around. No, he's not. He's going to save it. A wild ride through the grass. That is a very expensive lawnmower.
And what a save that was from Fisher. He was drifting all the way across the grass there, but does manage to hold it and put it back on track. He
Look
slotted
at
himself back
this!
in very comfortably in fourth. Wow, what a save. I was for sure thinking he'd lost that there, but he slotted himself back in fourth. He's going to be wanting to get his head down now and just try and stay on track, but a little bit of contact between him and Abuladze, the championship leaders, and wow, well, as we come into the hairpin yet again, and there's even more cars here, as it looks like Rubilar looks to make a move on the way through.
That was nothing but pure willpower from Fisher. Did not want to loop that car, was able to get on the brakes, then get on the gas, get on the steering, and not spin that car, and effectively just sort of lost some time realistically. And now, again, getting fought here at the moment. You got to get your head back in it, but it's so hard whenever you're having to attack or defend. In this case, you don't get a moment to clear your head after that. That was big contact. You'd like to say that you shouldn't be going too wide through there. Oh, more contact. Look at that. Contact between Boardman and him. Boardman's off. Boardman's back on. Boardman spins Fisher. Oh, and it's Calamity. It's Calamity at the bottom of the hill. It's the big one. A bunch of cars. Everybody trying to make their way through. Cars spinning back onto the track. Everybody behind them sees it, but it's more Calamity. More cars are coming off the track. It's a big accident, folks, that reverberates through the entire field.
Oh, that is not where you want to have an accident right at the bottom of that hill. All the cars have managed to get caught up in that, and oh, that's a big calamity. I don't think the stewards are going to be very happy with that one, especially after last week. But Fisher today is just not his day, and we're going to have a race replay here of what happened. Fisher's just forced Boardman a little off track there, and Boardman joins a little too riskily and has spun them both out. And well, you can see all the cars have nowhere to go. They're all just piling up at the bottom of the hill there, and well, that's going to set a lot of cars back, and I'm not sure a lot of them are going to be very happy. I imagine a lot of race reports are going to be pouring in right now.
Thomas Pierce in chat says, looks like I joined at the right time. Oh, and there's more Calamity. Svinček.
That is, yeah, we've got another Calamity on that hairpin.
Did Jake Boswell have contact with Svinček, I wonder there?
I'm not sure who is involved. I just saw Svenchek have a little spin there, and we have been informed that it was actually Jake Boswell that has spun him out. But here we go. Here's the race replay so you can see what happens. It looks like Boswell is looking for a move. Oh, he goes on the inside and he just catches him as Svenchek closes the door and not in the right place. And well, another calamity. It's just been one after another, and what looked like it was going to be a very safe race has now turned into very dangerous, as Machuska in the Maserati has put himself into P4.
Well, he's raced with us a long time, Wolf Matuszka. He knows how to spot an accident from a mile away, and he knows how to get through it. I think that's what's happened here. Matuszka all the way into P4 in a Maserati, folks. If you are new to GT4 racing, just a reminder, that car does not have ABS. It does not have traction control. It's basically like driving a horse and buggy around here. It is very difficult stuff. So not ideal, but a definite challenge for those willing enough to take it on. And Wolf Matuszka doing a great job here. So let's reset. Verstappen leads this race. They took the lead from the 12 cleanly, mind you. Abuladze finds himself de facto second after contact with his nearest championship rival, and is looking pretty good for the championship lead, you might say. Tom Bryant in the 42 is in third place. Wolf Matuszka fourth, and this, the front splitter cam of Floris Harsvord in the number 20 is your top five. Bukowski, Boswell, Chamberlain, Roberts, and Sarka, the top 10. Ertan has fallen outside the top 10 and in 11th, and I believe I saw Ertan's KTM involved in that crash at this very corner a lap or so ago.
I mean, it's definitely a mixed up grid from what we had at the start, and I'm sure Tom Bryant and Machuska in particular will be very happy with how this has gone, simply because, well, I mean, this is the best they've been doing all season. Tom Bryant has been very consistent down in 20th and sort of fighting for positions down there most of the season, but he'll be happy to take away a podium. That will massively help him with his position in the standings. It will hopefully take him away from that fight and maybe into the fight for top 10 in the standings, as we see now Machuska, it looks like it's not Machuska, that is Mikowski. And he is looking for a move through Harsford, who is closely following Machuska. Here we've got a very tight battle for 4th place. It looks like Mikowski's going to have the inside line. I would say it's a place to be as there's a little bit of contact going into the hairpin. And he just can't find a way through, but as long as Mikowski can hold that inside line, I mean, he's looking good to possibly find 4th place here after a couple of laps.
Couple of little contacts, a little bit of sideways, trying to get on the power a little bit much in the Maserati. That will do nothing but hurt you. A little bit of flash of the lights from Mikowski saying, hey, I would very much like to go through. And it's almost like Wolf was going to let him through there, but nope, closes the gap and closes the door. Our pole sitter, Calandrino, in the 12 is 15th.
I don't think any of us saw that coming. I mean, he's not going to be happy about that. But race 2 is only 20 minutes away. And as we said, the race 1 results do not determine where you start at race 2. So there will be a little bit of a second chance for those people who have been caught up in an accident and have fallen back now here. They'll hopefully be able to do something a bit better in race 2, which fingers crossed will not be as chaotic as this race 1 has been so far. But Harsford is probably breathing a little sigh of relief there as Mikowski and Machuska continue to battle it out. Oh wait, actually, Machuska looks like he's dropped position as we cut down now to Ertan in the KTM, who's making a move on Zarka. No, he's a little bit far back at the moment, but Ertan in that KTM, I mean, you said yourself that you saw him get caught up in that accident, so he's probably quite happy that he's only in 11th, really.
Well, I gotta say, it's a topsy-turvy race. I was expecting a cleaner affair, and for 2 laps, Tim Peck, it certainly was.
Yes, it's been very, very chaotic so far. I mean, I thought the first lap would have been a lovely first lap to go by, seeing as it was very clean, but it all starts to go a little bit downhill from there, especially for Fisher, who's just been caught up in one too many accidents this race round, and he's not going to be very happy. He was fighting for the championship title, and now, I mean, Abeladze, his rival, is sitting there pretty in 2nd place, and he's all the way down in 19th by the look of it, so he's not going to be very happy. We're watching Phil Roberts now, I believe, make a move on Boswell, and can't quite find the inside line, so he is going to follow through at the moment. And wow, those BMWs there, they're not really doing as well as I thought they would at this race. I thought Donington BMWs, they'd go quite nicely together, but we've got 2, Abeladze and Tom Bryant, in the top 3, and other than that, I mean, they're starting to get lost in the pack a little bit.
I will tell you, though, Abeladze is catching Verstappen here. Here is 2nd place Abeladze, who is first in the championship, and that gap is disappearing. Verstappen is getting caught. I was just going to comment on Jake Boswell and Phil Roberts. They better race each other nice because they don't have a choice. They have to work with each other.
Yes, and that might cause some obvious friction if there was to be a calamity there, but I am sure they'll be fine. Like you say, Abeladze
yeah, and they'll make me play referee.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't want to be pulled into that argument because I think it'd be a little bit of an awkward one to have to steward, as Abeladze will be looking to make through Verstappen to secure his place in the championship, but Verstappen as well will want to be holding off Abeladze if he wants to continue to stand a chance to fight for this championship. So don't take your eyes off the screen. We've got a very close fight for 1st place at the moment as Abeladze is desperately trying to find a way through Verstappen. Can't quite find any moves yet, but we'll be keeping on him. We know how well Abeladze can drive. We know he's consistent and we know he's fast. It looks like Verstappen's gone a little wide there, but sadly it's on that thin part of the track where there's nowhere to get through, although he's starting to go around the outside now. And it looks like he's still a little bit too far back, but he's going to have a much better exit out of this corner, going up into a little bit of a short straight as Verstappen has yet again gone wide. And Verstappen needs to stop going wide if he wants to be able to keep up this speed and hold Abeladze off, and they're getting so close to each other. But Verstappen, he's just managing to hold Abeladze off as we're coming into the final sector of this course right now, and well, what a fight for 1st position we're having.
Well, he's putting a lot of faith, is Verstappen, in his drive off the corner. He reckons that he can give up the inside as long as he gets a better drive off the corner in the Chevrolet, that he can keep back there. But around the outside is Abeladze. Could he possibly clear him
Oh,
into the hairpin? No, he can't. It's going to be side by side, and they're still going to be side by
oh.
side. A little touch of fender rub there, but still up the inside is Abeladze, who might be able to finally get this move done. The 579 looks like they are going to be going to the front here. Verstappen, will he be able to fight on the outside? The answer is sort of maybe, not quite clear. Abeladze, your championship leader, leads here at Donington.
And we see now the BMW is just pulling away. Verstappen was desperately trying to hold that position, just find his way back through there on the outside of that corner, but a brilliant move from Abeladze. He took the outside on the first hairpin, knowing that he would keep the inside in that second hairpin. Just really sticking to those corners, has managed to push his way through into first place, and a lovely clean overtake compared to the rest of this race so far. As we see Crozen now coming through. Do you think that's a position being given up there, or do you think that's just Zarka going a little bit too wide?
I think Sarka missed that corner a little bit. I don't think that was on purpose. Maybe something ailing the GT4 Porsche, because that looked a bit strange. Yeah, it looks like they're having some sort of certainly not tire degradation. It might be no heat or grip in the tires for Sarka.
And it looks like now Ertan and, well, the rest of the pack, Roberts and Rubla, are all trying to sort of find their way through Zarka. And as you say, it looks like he's starting to struggle a bit. I'm not sure what it could be causing that. I mean, maybe with the track temperature being so low, with it coming into the night time, he's struggling a little bit for grip, but definitely not having the race he wants to right now. He's in 10th position, so not bad position-wise, but hopefully he can hold it as we see the train of people come through the S's now. And, well, hopefully they all manage to stay out of trouble, Jesse Lee, but they're all very close, and one false move and they could send someone spinning. But for the most part, they're doing quite fine. It looks like Rubla was going to go for a move there, but Roberts really closed the door on him, and he will get to hold 12th for another day.
One other thing we didn't talk about with Sarka is we don't know exactly how much damage Sarka got in that earlier pileup, so that could have also been part of it. And also, I want to give an attaboy to Nathan McConnell, who was in the top 15, but I actually don't know where McConnell started, so I can't necessarily do that. But I definitely saw a lot of these R painted cars make it through that incident, so I don't know if they were one of them, but they were certainly. Now it looks like there might be a little bit of damage on the front of Nathan McConnell's 23 Aston. And, well, that's going to be a common theme after what we had saw. Well, after that accident, I can tell you, Andy Boardman in the 69 had come down pit road. They did a couple more laps, and now they've parked it again. The 64 of Buchek also in the pit lane, and Vasiliev also in the pit lane. Fisher has joined them in 20th place, and Wig, they're all sitting in the pit lane. There is no pit stop necessary in this race, so the only reason you'd be down pit lane is if you had a lot of damage, or of course if you were waving the white flag.
And that is unfortunate for every single one of those drivers. I think Fisher in particular will be very disappointed, as it looks like Daly might be fighting his way through this corner. He's taken the inside and he's got a much better exit by the look of it, as he manages to keep slightly ahead on the straight. He's on the outside for this next hairpin, so he's going to want to really try and cut him off and make it stick, and it looks like he's just going to safely cut across in front. But is that Calandrino? He's fighting. Calandrino also has a great exit, but that's Svenchik apparently, but Daly is managing to hold it on the inside going down this start-finish straight, and he will manage to keep the inside now for the next set of corners. So I imagine he'll start to pull away here, but Svenchik's not giving up so easy. He's really holding the outside, but he has run wide now. That is going to sadly take away from his exit, and he will slot down there into 18th, but Svenchik will be looking to bite back now. And as I was saying about the retirees, it's always unfortunate, but Fisher's going to be kicking himself there. I mean, he came into this race in tied first for the championship, and he's going to be walking away with a DNF right now. And as we actually see a Razor looking for a move around the edge of Mulholland, I believe. And oh, there's a lot of contact, and Mulholland's gone shooting off the track.
No.
We thought it was over, but here come the accidents again. And Donington once again will strike, as I believe Mulholland is now going to be taken completely out of the race, and I'm not sure if he's going to rejoin the track there. It looks like he's slotted himself back in. Yeah, that's not an ideal situation, but Donington strike. McDonald's actually going to get a drive-through penalty. I imagine that is just going to be track limits, because of course we do not have live stewarding on these events, so any penalties given out will be given out by the ACC system. So McConnell, drive-through penalty, that will be track limits, which is, I'm not sure if it's common here. I guess the S is very easy to cut them off, so that's probably where he's picked up that drive-through there.
Yeah, it is fairly common, as you see Nathan McConnell coming down the pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty for track limits. We're going to go back and look at the contact here. Now, I don't know about that. Your thoughts, Tim Peck?
I actually missed that, admittedly, but I slightly caught it. I believe Mulholland may have slightly cut.
Who's that?
Yeah,
off?
who
Just
was
sitting
that?
on the
It's number 12. So that's Calandrino has had an accident. There's number 23's off as well. So Calandrino might have hit McConnell there.
That's Jordan Daly.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, that was Jordan Daly. That was Jordan Daly who had pulled off the course and now is back in the garage.
Oh no, I wonder what caused that then. We're going to get a race replay to see what happened, if that was actually an accident. And yeah, it looks like he's been shunted from behind and clearly decided he didn't want to have anything more to do with this race and has now returned to the pits. But another DNF. We're now, I believe, 6 DNFs in this race. So, well, what was looking to be a much cleaner race than last week definitely has not turned out to be. As we now cut to Harsford in a fight for top 5. He's actually coming up on Mikowski, who's in 4th place now. He's a little bit far back, and we've got another drive-through come down there in Schwenchek, but Harsford is actually looking at the inside of Mikowski now, not going to find anything as he's not got quite the exit, but the drive-throughs are starting to pour in. It can only mean we're in the last 10 minutes, and, well, so far, Jesse Lee, this has been a real mix of emotions.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Nathan McConnell got a drive-through, I was curious how many other cars in this pack might also be on their 3rd warning from ACC for track limits. And there you have it, Juraj Svinček with a drive-through penalty as well. And if Garrett Fisher was a betting man, I would have him go out there and run 3 more laps for me and pick up an extra point over Jordan Daly. But I'm not sure if they will do that, but that's what I would do, because again, that's an extra point or 2. So you never know. You can't throw away your season based on one race. You have Abeladze. They could go out there and easily have an equally as bad race 2 as you had race 1. So you should go out there and fight for every single point.
I agree, and I'm rather surprised to see that many cars in the pits. Obviously, there was a huge accident. A lot of cars have picked up damage, but I mean, like you say, you're picking up that last point, and I'm surprised they're not all trying to sort of psych each other out and see if I go out, maybe he'll go out and we can fight for these bottom few places. I mean, they may have been damaged, but they definitely weren't out of the race, and as long as that car is still drivable, then you should probably drive it. Although I think Fisher may have put his hat down there a little bit and gone, okay, that's one too many crashes for my start of the race. I'm going to take myself to the pits and just try and regain that mental state for the next race. As we see Zarka here is looking to find a way through. Is that Chamberlain he's coming through? It does look to be Chamberlain. It's being forced to the outside in that first corner. He's not going to find the position. Zarka isn't, but he's coming through. He's got a really good exit here, and if he can keep this up, he might be able to look for a move slightly later on as we come down to the next set of corners here. The Craner curves. He's falling back a little bit, but I mean, it looked there that Zarka's going to try and make a move around the outside, which that would have been very impressive if you ask me.
Jordan Daly joins us in chat from the pit lane. Says, I got punted on lap 1 and was trying to make my way back up again and got rear-ended again in turn 1. Yeah, we did see that, Jordan. That's rather unfortunate that happened. And one great thing that Daly did do that I want to bring up is they didn't park on the racetrack. They got spun. They were sitting on the track. They pulled off to the grass and then decided to go to the pit lane. That is textbook what you're taught on how to do that. So we do appreciate that. It was a frustrating race for Daly, but says that it's all good. There's another
Oh.
race.
And it looks like Mikowski is going to try and look for a way through Tom Bryant. This is for a podium position. He's going to have a much better exit coming out of this hairpin as well. So Mikowski is going to really try and push it along the straight. That BMW is going to be hard to come through, especially if that straight line speed, as Tom Bryant ducks over to the outside line to defend for Mikowski here. And it looks like Mikowski is not going to be able to find a way through, but he's really prioritising these exits, and he's getting much better as he ducks to the inside now. And Tom Bryant is not going to be able to shut him off again as Mikowski is looking down the inside line. He's again not going to make it through, but really trying. You've got to hand it to Mikowski in these final few minutes of the race. He's definitely looking for a path. He's not giving up fighting yet, and again he's
here we go.
looking for the inside. Is this going to be the move that sticks as we come up into McLean's here? And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get through. That BMW straight line speed is just too fast.
Touch maybe.
There's so close, and Mikowski is now down the inside yet again as we come up to the next straight, and he just can't make that straight stick as Tom Bryant is pulling away, but Mikowski is coming through, and there's a tap.
Here's Harsford. Harsford's going to get the inside. Take it all.
And that
unreal.
That is a brilliant move from Harsford there. He sat back, he let them fight it out, and he went straight through the inside as soon as Bryant and Mikowski touched. So Harsford is going to be more than happy with that. What a move, and well done for waiting from Harsford
by
there.
the way,
he will be happy for third.
Wolf Matuszka in for the fight for 5th place. Consider where Harsford came from. He went from 5th to 3rd in a corner. That was brilliant stuff. As the drive-throughs do continue, the 777 of Mulholland gets a drive-through. Indeed, that is the pass. Stuck fighting each other for 3rd, and Harsford comes up from 5th. Wasn't initially a part of that battle either. They slowed themselves down enough that Harsford got there, and the number 20 Aston got through. Now that is a fantastic, that's all good racing there. Let's just say that. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all those guys, Harsford, Mikowski, and Bryant, that was brilliant stuff.
That was phenomenal racing there, and again, well done to Harsford for just waiting for that chance to strike. Made sure he put out the fastest lap he could, and as soon as that spot was open, he dived straight through the inside and got the nice clean move off. So shame for Mikowski and Tom Bryant, but Harsford is going to be loving it, as I'm now looking at Verstappen, who has fallen off Abeladzzi completely. So it looks like Abeladzzi is going to walk away with the win of this race if he can keep on the track, but Mikowski isn't done yet. He wants that 3rd place position, and he's right up there with Harsford. He's going to look for a way through coming up into the S's here. He's dipping to the inside. He's going to decide against it, which again I think is a smart choice. And well, Tom Bryant may be falling back. Mikowski is not ready to give up the fight as we come into these final 2 hairpins. He's not going to be able to look for a move on the inside, but he's going to go for it as Harsford actually gives him the inside and seems to have been letting him through almost, as maybe Harsford's trying to get a better exit. It doesn't look like it, so Harsford going a little bit too wide there and has, I believe, let Mikowski through now, but it looks like there's a little bit of contact, but Mikowski's managing to stay ahead. But again, it was a good move for Mikowski, but it just goes to show, if you wait for the mistakes to happen, then the inside line will show itself, and you've just got to be ready to take it.
In the span of a lap and a half, Krzysztof Mikowski has been 3rd, 4th, and 5th, back to 4th and back to 3rd. He has been on his own little adventure, and now the final step of the podium for Mikowski as Harsford. I was thinking about why he took the line he did. I reckon he thought, well, it's not realistic for me to be in 3rd. I don't quite have the paces. The battle for 5th is on between Matuszka and Bryant here. And I wonder if Harsford did the math and went, well, if I let Mikowski by, I'm still 1 net place up from where I was running. And maybe that was the logic, maybe that wasn't the logic, but he definitely didn't defend too hard. Certainly you would have to say. Wolf Matuszka, though, and Tom Bryant are thinking about doing a no-no, and that's going too wide into this chicane. They think better of it, sort it out, and we'll resume the fight post-chicane down to the hairpin. Could it be a run down to the inside for Matuszka? Thinks about it, thinks better of it, falls back in line as the checkered flag is out, and Abeladzzi, who started 4th, will win this race. A topsy-turvy, crazy race for the driver of the 579. We'll see him with a third straight win. Verstappen will finish second, Makowski third, Harsvord in fourth. Bryant will hold on to the final spot in the top five. Matushka, Boswell, Crozen, Chamberlain, and Sarka, the top 10. Ertan, Roberts, Rubliar, Rasser, Calandrino will finish in 15th. That is very tough to take for the number 12. Svinchek, Nathan McConnell, Mulholland, Daly, Fisher. In fact, Daly, Fisher, Wig, Boardman, Buchek, and Vasiliev, all those did not finish the race. A lot, I wouldn't call them necessarily retirements, but a lot of cars that reset to pit lane. That was a heck of a race. We got some really good racing in there, but we also had a massive crash that involved most of the field. And, well, Tim Peck, you're just hoping that race 2, they don't do that.
Yeah, here's to hoping race 2 is a little bit better as we do once again remind ourselves of what happened at the bottom of the hill. Just a pile up really between a load of cars and a lot of people getting caught up in it. So again, I reckon, well, all those people that pitted will be looking to do a lot better in this race. They certainly didn't want to pit. They would have pitted because they had too much damage that they felt was too much to continue, but they'll be all looking to do better here as Machuska in the Maserati will bring it home in 6th place. On Harsford, I agree. It did look like he gave the position up on that corner. I am wondering if it was the best thing to do. I mean, with only one lap remaining, you'd have thought he'd have tried to hold it a little bit longer. I'm wondering if in his head he was going to the outside to try and prioritise that exit and then hold the inside going into the final hairpin, but just didn't quite manage to make it stick properly. And obviously, Mikowski really diving in on the inside and hooking up that corner nicely. I'm just wondering where Harsford's mindset was there, but either way, 4th place, it's nothing to frown at. A brilliant finish from Harsford, and I think probably his best, along with Tom Bryant as well, will be in 5th, and he'll be happy with that as well. So a brilliant fight for 3rd place there, and Abeladze, well done for bringing it home in 1st place, and I'm sure Fisher will be now eager to buy out Abeladze's boots a little bit going into race 2.
Yeah, I think Fisher is just hoping that Abeladze doesn't make it 4 in a row, because that's 3 in a row for him. Looking like the driver to beat is Abeladze, and it would be quite a day if he could go ahead and win one more time. He'll have to do it from the 2nd row of the grid, but well, he did it once. Why not twice? I think everybody else is just hoping that maybe there's no pile up. Take it a little bit easier. There's a lot of good racing, and then there was some quite ugly racing. It's hard to believe that Fisher saving it in the dirt was the same race as the race we just watched. Folks, we are not done here yet. Of course, GT4 racing, 2 30-minute races. So that was race 1, race 2. We're going to re-rack them and put them back into the position that they qualified. They will do a pace lap, and we will do one more 30-minute race. And our predictions, Tim Peck, were completely wrong. None of the drivers we thought that we were going to be in there were actually involved at the end. So you know what I'm going to do? Harsvord wins this race. Why not?
It's possible. I think with a lot of calamity, it's definitely possible. I can't remember where Harsford started, if I'm perfectly honest. So I am interested to see the qualifying grid again for the first time because, well, that was a certainly huge mix-up in that race. Verstappen will be definitely looking to get that good start again. Obviously, he started in 3rd and managed to bring it up to 1st place within the first few laps, which in turn meant that he managed to avoid the whole incident, including Fisher. And I can't remember even now who was in that main fight that caused the whole problems. I believe it was Fisher and one of the Porsches. But yeah, I believe Verstappen will be looking to get a good start again. Abeladze, he's going to be looking to get his 4th race in a row, like you said. He's going to be starting 2nd as well. So there's a lot to fight for here. And I think it's going to be an interesting race too. I hope that this is the calmer race that we thought we were going to see this weekend. But for Donington Park, well, that was rather chaotic. And yeah, well, here's to hoping that race 2 is slightly different, I guess.
Still early days in this championship. A lot of points still yet to be decided, and race two coming at you in just a few moments as they cycle and get ready to go back out on a second parade lap. We would like to thank you for being with us on a Thursday evening. Hope you're well wherever you are, and thank you for spending a little bit of your evening with us here on RCI TV. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Tim Peck and Mr. Christian Stricker, and we are bringing you the round three action from the GT4 championship here. And also a big thank you to our partners that make this race and every race possible. Race Department, AK Informatica Driver, 61 Fanatec, and Sim Racing GP. You can get 25% off your driver coaching at Driver 61 by using the discount code RCI Coaching D61. You can find that in the description. You can find that on the Discord, and get yourself a nice discount on some driver coaching. And folks, it works. We're talking about pros over there at Driver 61, and they will make you a better racer. Also, a big shout out to Fanatec. You can use our referral link in the description as well. Doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us with things like server cost and other things. So we do appreciate you using our referral link, and of course AK Informatica for supplying our servers. And a big thank you again to Race Department and Sim Racing GP for being behind us as well. Race 2 coming up. What does the Chevrolet have to do of Verstappen? What does the Chevrolet of Verstappen have to do to, if they get out front, stay out front, Tim Peck?
I think he just has to hold it, really, go for the corners. I mean, we saw a lot as soon as Abeladze was up there pressuring him. He was running off track on pretty much every single corner, and he was picking up a lot of dirt, which meant obviously that his exit was then compromised. So if Verstappen manages to make it to first place again, he's definitely going to want to try and keep it on track this time. Mikowski, who came third last race, started 15th. Along with some other people that started a bit further down there and managed to climb up, but Mikowski's probably hoping for another brilliant race like that again, where there's a bit of trouble up front and he can just push his way right through. I mean, 15th to 3rd is a pretty good drive if you ask me, but yeah, so Abeladze definitely going to be hoping to have a Verstappen style start, although again, all of those even numbers, 2nd, 4th, 6th, they're going to be starting on the outside, and it's really not where you want to be at Donington. You do want to be starting on that inside line, otherwise there's not a lot you could do in that first corner other than just try and get that slightly better acceleration and cut off the inside before the other car gets through. But Verstappen was optimising that last race. He got a brilliant start. He managed to dip his nose in right on the inside of Fisher and hold the line going all the way down through the Craner curve. So I imagine anyone starting on the inside here is going to be very happy and have a good start. People starting on the outside, they're going to need to try and get a much better exit. But of course, that all depends on Fisher at the front of that outside line as well. If he doesn't get a good start, then all the people behind him are going to be fanning out in all awkward directions. So it's all hanging on Fisher right now as to how quickly Abeladze manages to fight through the pack. And I imagine, being championship rivals, Fisher's not going to let Abeladze through quite so easily. So I think if Verstappen can get into first, he's definitely going to have it slightly easier than last time. Abeladze will obviously have to fight through Calandrino and Fisher, which he didn't have to do last time because they had a couple of accidents. But as long as he keeps it on the track, I think he'll be safe.
Calandrino, Fisher, Boardman, Rubliar, Buchek. These are all names that started inside the top 10 last race that definitely did not finish inside the top 10. It was a very strange race where the majority of the field at one point or another was involved in an incident. There were a lot of damaged cars. Rubliar, who was involved in that big crash at Forest Elbow, he did not really recover in the 17 Audi, and I was curious how much damage he had, and I re-looked at that replay, and the answer's a lot. He had a lot of damage in that number 17 Audi. So everyone looking to do better here. It's going to be hard for Abeladze to do better. He won that race after falling to well, I wouldn't say falling. He held his position in fourth place. Verstappen stormed to the front. I thought it was going to be all Verstappen in that race, and it was right up until the point where Abeladze caught him and passed him for the lead. For Verstappen, I don't know if it was a tire issue or something that caused him to just lose pace, because he looked like he was going to run away with it in the 747, just didn't quite get it done. Well, we had clouds earlier this afternoon. Well, they have gone completely cloud free this evening. The stars are out on the racetrack and in the sky. Track's optimal 12 degrees C, the track and air temp, very chilly indeed. And as you can see, it is very dark all of a sudden.
And I think this is going to be a very exciting fight for the championship now. I mean, Verstappen will be wanting to start bringing in those race victories if he wants to get back into it. Abeladze is currently going to be the championship leader, especially after the last race where he not only came first, but his closest rival Fisher, who was originally tied points with him, is now going to have fallen very far back. So Fisher's probably hoping for a bit of luck here, mixed with quite a lot of driving. He's going to want to try and fight for that first place, or even just a podium. Kind of hope that Abeladze doesn't get it, and maybe Abeladze's the one this time that gets caught up. So definitely hoping for a bit of luck there as Fisher as we come around these final few hairpins, and we're going to be coming on to start finish straight. And I forgot to ask you, Jesse Lee, how do you think this one's going to pan out?
I think it's going to be more of the same up front. I think Verstappen has figured something out on this start and is probably going to end up leading this race, but Calandrino and Fisher are going to be your front row. Verstappen, Abeladze the second, Boardman and Roubliard the third. Waiting for the green flag. There it is. The lights are on and we are racing again. And it's a decent start by the outside. And it's looking like Fisher is going to pull this off on the inside. Doesn't quite come all the way over, but doesn't necessarily have to. Garrett Fisher is in front, if not just for a moment. Calandrino looks to the inside. Can't do it as they're single file for the first several rows, all the way back to just about Roubliard getting troubled in about the fifth or sixth place. And we've got a car in the pit lane, but other than that, I think it was just about squeaky clean.
And Fisher's already starting to pull away a little bit. I mean, it's not a huge gap, but there's definitely a gap starting to form there as Verstappen does not get the start he wanted. It looks like Abeladze's trying to find his way through as well, and that was definitely not the start I thought we were going to see. And that top five is all still very close right now, and all of them are trying to find a way through. Calandrino, of course, did lose that pole position, is now sitting there in second, but he has managed to hold off Verstappen. There's a lot of moving around that. I thought there was for sure going to be an incident in that first corner when Verstappen cut all the way from the inside to the outside, but they all managed to keep it clean and Verstappen found that space. So a brilliant move. Unfortunately, wasn't able to quite find anything off it as we now come into the final set of hairpins on the track. Abeladze taking a wide exit and is actually going to have a very bad exit at that. And well, a lot can be said, but Fisher, what a brilliant first corner. I didn't think it was possible on the outside, and not only is it possible, but he's given himself a nice 1 second gap here, so Fisher is going to be very happy with that first lap.
Can confirm Darren Mulholland did not start this race in the 777 and has retired from the event. Not sure what happened to Darren Mulholland, but they are out of the race 2 event here at Donington. And that brings us to 22 cars left in the race. Garrett Fisher leads after was effectively a retirement last race. That's got to feel good. Calandrino, Verstappen, Abeladze, and Boardman, your top 5. But look at this, a battle for second. Calandrino goes wide, Verstappen goes to the inside. It's almost a carbon copy of what happened last time as well, as Verstappen is through. Is he bringing his friends completely off the track? It's going to be contact. Abeladze, now he can't have that. You don't want to be accruing penalty points as he sets him right and everything resets. But it's like the initial start. They're 2x2 as both cars on the inside of the chicane go nearly off the racetrack, and it's all still good. Minor contact, but other than that, everyone's still pointed the right direction. How's that possible?
Oh, not
oh no!
quite.
And just as I say that,
crash.
Was that Andy Boardman? I think it was. Andy Boardman has been spun by either Rubliar or Harsvard. Oh no. It's all gone wrong for Andy Boardman again.
And you spoke a little too soon there, I'm afraid to say it. Right as you said it, you appear to have jinxed us. We now get a race replay of what happened. It looks like this is just the aftermath, unfortunately, but Boardman was spun out, and oh, it looks like he's actually given a little bit of a tap to someone on the way back onto the track as well. So absolutely not what Boardman would have wanted there. I mean, it looked like he was about to find a way through. He had that inside line going into the hairpin, so he was probably very excited for a second, only to have his hopes plunge straight away as he got spun out. But all of them are still racing. No one has given up quite yet this time as they all get back on the track. Machuska in 9th place in that Maserati, so he's doing very well. He's managed to keep up through the positions, and I mean, he's looking for a move on Chamberlain by the looks of it. I have just noticed as well that the KTM of Ertan did not start this race and has also decided to give race 2 a miss today. As we've now, well, compared to the last race, we've got a very different top 5. We've got Fischer in 1st place, who has given himself a nice 5-second gap to Verstappen there, and Calandrino is in 3rd. He obviously got forced out. Verstappen did a very good move on around Coppice on, I believe it was lap 2 it happened, as the chaos started to unfold after that. Abeladziz is still in 4th. He's gone off track a couple of times, but for the most part, he's managed to keep it together, and Rubliar finally found that 5th position. He's managing to make it stick. So a much different start this time, and well, Fischer's going to be happy. He's doing what you, well, basically said, what does he have to do? He's got in 1st place. He's doing what Verstappen wants to be doing. He's found that 5-second gap. So, I mean, what do you think happens from here?
Well, I'll be curious if Verstappen can claw the gap back. Keep in mind, Verstappen did that to Calandrino in race 1, just clawed that gap back, but side by side here between Rubliar and I think that's Tom Bryant. Oh, in contact there. It's so hard to be side by side coming through there. Abeladze and Rubliar getting contacted together. Actually, no, that is Tom Bryant and Rubliar.
It looks like, yeah, Abeladze and Rubliar, I believe, were the 2 that had a little collision there, and Tom Bryant is going to be there to capitalise off it as he's trying to find a way through Rubliar, who's now fallen back a little bit, but
I'm sorry, I just saw Matushka in the background just make a pass on Harley Chamberlain. I do apologize to him, but
I mean, it was a brilliant move.
Wolf like Matushka in a car with no traction control or ABS making moves like that. Really?
Well, he's made it stick. It looks like he's through Chamberlain now, and well, Tom Bryan has not got the exit he wanted there. I think, is that Mikowski again up from 15th? Mikowski is really loving this race at Donington's. Definitely wasn't his timing qualifying, couldn't find his pole lap, but oh, Machuska has just been spun out. No, it looks like he's managed to hold it. So, well, a lot of fighting has just happened here, and you got to hand it to both Mikowski and Machuska, to be honest. Both have done very well, as Machuska does manage to keep it on track here.
Well, Garrett Fisher is gone, by the way. We're going to look at the replay. This is after Wolf Matushka had taken that spot from Harley Chamberlain, but what we're going to show you is what happened in the hairpin. This is what happens. Actually, we're not going to show you that, but what happens is you get a car with no traction control, you try to hit the gas as you would in a car that did have it, and then it all goes a bit pear-shaped, which is exactly what happened to Matushka, and that's why he's back behind Harley Chamberlain again. And now he's got to make that pass all over again. By the way, out front, Garrett Fisher is widening the gap. It was 4.8 the last time through, and through the sector gate, it's 5.5 over Verstappen. So Fisher is disappearing up front. Verstappen is gaining a little bit each sector on Calandrino, and Abeladze is desperately attempting to get around Calandrino. Speaking of,
and it looks like he's looking for a move here down the outside,
so
and he is through just before the S's, so he's going to be very happy about that. He doesn't have to make a risky move going into there, and they're just going to go around the hairpins now. It doesn't look like there's much of an option for Calandrino to get a retake here, and yeah, he's a little bit far back, although looks like he might have a better exit. Not quite, and well, Abeladze is going to be happy he got through just before the S's come along, because that could have been a recipe for disaster there. But as you say, Fisher doing very well, and he's building that gap more and more. I mean, the last I saw there was 5.7 seconds, and it's just, as you can see now, gone up to 6.1. So Fisher's having a dream race this time around compared to the last race, and he's looked so good so far at Donington. So it's nice to finally see him be able to really put out the laps that he wants to do and get that pace down and show us what he can do. So Abeladze, he is now gaining on Verstappen. We know he can do it. The question is, will Verstappen be able to hold him off this time? We've already said what he has to do it. It's just a case of whether he can. So Abeladze will be looking to catch up and now find a way through as we cut down to the fight for 4th place. Yet again with Mikowski looking for a way through Rubilar. And we have this lovely front bumper view just underneath as we come through these corners. And the stars, well, they're shining out bright. And I'd say some of the drivers as well is Mikowski gets very close to the rear of Rubilar, managing to not quite touch it, looks like, but he's not very happy with that, as I think he believes that Rubilar probably cut him off there, and he's expressing his anger through the flashing.
It's hard to disagree. Riding on his splitter, Mikowski, the flash of the light saying, "Hey mate, I was there, what are you doing?" And letting him know that he's not going to, I'm pretty sure if that happens again, Mikowski might not lift. And that's an unfortunate consequence of spatial awareness, I'm afraid. Tom Bryant, by the way, who is fighting Chamberlain here. This is a battle for 7th place behind them. Tom Bryant pointed out after qualifying that positions 9 through 18 were covered by 2/10, and certainly they are racing like it as well. And Tom was in our chat, also mentioned that he had a really fun race 1 and just missed the podium there a little bit. Well, it's not too bad for the driver of the 42 from the Triple R Academy, as they are still inside the top 10, fighting with Chamberlain and Matushka now. And we go back up in front of them, just 1 place, in fact, as Mikowski still looking for the pass on Chris Rouliard, trying to go around the inside, trying to go around the outside. Tim, you just got to go where they're not.
I think he definitely has the pace to get through. I think he just needs to make the move, to be honest. It looks like he's just sort of testing all the different angles and not actually going for any of them. And I think he just needs to sort of bite the bullet and maybe try and make a proper move on Rubilar here. But Rubilar, as we know, has been all over with this defence. He's managed to hold off Mikowski, and there was almost that collision. So maybe why Mikowski's not making the move is he's a little bit nervous about, well, crashing into Rubilar if he does. But Calandrino will be very happy that they're fighting at the back. It's given him a bit of a breather. It's allowing him to just try and put a little bit of distance on Rubilar. And I mean, that gap at the beginning, Verstappen has slightly closed it actually since the last lap, but it was at 1 point 7.5 seconds, and Verstappen has started to chunk out of Fisher again, but Fisher's just starting to walk away, and he must be very happy with how this race is going so far. As we're looking at Michalski here. He looks like he's spun out. I don't know if anyone was touching him there, but that just goes to show how the Maserati just doesn't really have any stick through those corners, obviously being the only car there with no traction control, no ABS, and it just loses it on that final hairpin, and that is unfortunately the downside of that Maserati there. Machuska is going to find it out the harsh way as he loses grip and loses quite a lot of positions. It looks like he's dropped about 5 there, so not an ideal situation for him, and definitely not what he was hoping for after such a good race so far.
Listen, it's cold, it's dark. He's in a Maserati. We saw him nearly lose it a few times in race 1, and the temps were a bit higher. You just don't have any grip. None of these guys have a ton of grip in their car, and least of all, anyone in a Maserati. So it's unfortunate for Wolf there. Certainly not what he wanted to do, but still has time to gain a lot of those spots back. He only fell to about 15th. He might still be able to get back in the top 10. Chris Rouliard defending Mikowski still. You can't make this work unless you have some cooperation. Cooperation given at least the minimum amount. And once again, Rouliard defends successfully. Now that was dangerous, but it looked brilliant.
I mean, this is why I just love watching these GT4s race. They're so brutal with each other, and they do have these little taps, but as long as, like you say there, they just give each other that, albeit not a lot of space, but they just give each other that little bit of space, then both will come out alive. And well, it looked like Michalski has finally had enough of being behind Rubilar and did try and make a move, and it wasn't quite it, but it was looking good as McDonnell gets another drive-through penalty. This will be his first one in race 2, but his second one of the set so far. So really struggling, I'm
Nathan.
guessing, on those S's. And yeah.
Oh, Rubliar! Oh, he put a tire into the dirt, and I thought he was going to lose it. Nathan McConnell might have just set an RCI record for quickest drive-through penalty.
It has only been 14 minutes, you're right, and that was very quick. It's definitely the quickest we've seen in this championship so far, and I don't think he's going to be very happy with that. He was around 15.
It's not a record he wanted.
So it's definitely not a record he wanted. It's not the one you'd be going for either. As, again, Rubliar is really trying to hold on to this
twitchy.
He's going over the bumps a little too harshly. He's picking up dirt at the side of the track and really compromising his exits. He's definitely under pressure here, and he is showing that he is struggling. So Mikowski is going to want to capitalise off this. And well, I mean, it's been about 4 laps now with Mikowski looking at Rubliar's rear, so he's probably quite familiar with it. And you're hoping by now he'd have found a way through it as well, as Mikowski is yet again, we're going into the final 2 hairpins on the circuit, and he's going down the inside. It looks like he's actually going to make a move, and he is going to go through on the inside. They're managing to hold it. He just needs to keep it together here on the exit, and he has. So he can now hold the inside of the second hairpin. That's how you do it. You keep the inside the first hairpin.
He's on the inside. Harley Chamberlain, who has gotten by Tom Bryan, is now trying to take the 6th place position away from Rubliar, and does it easily.
Not ideal for Rubliar there. He was just not in the right place, neither of those hairpins, and he's let 2 people through now, so he's definitely not going to be happy about that. But I mean, that's how you do it on this track. You've just got to find that inside on the first hairpin and make it stick enough so you can keep that inside on the second hairpin, as Chamberlain picks up quite a lot of dirt on the side there, which has allowed Rubliar to get a bit of speed on him. He's looking for the inside. They're so close to each other, but luckily they're going to leave each other just enough room as Chamberlain manages to find that inside line once again. And well, that was very close, and I can tell you thought so too. So, I mean, do you think we're going to see another accident? They're very much desperately trying to catch positions here, and it's looking very dangerous. So Rubliar is managing to just about hold it, as it looks like Chamberlain's gone wide yet again. He's massively lost on the exit here, as Rubliar's going to look for the outside and maybe the exit around the corner. And again, he's just that little bit too far back. So Chamberlain is, well, he's very lucky there, because I for sure thought he was going to lose that place to Rubliar on that corner.
Chris Rubliar not happy about this, wants that position back. Mikowski is now driving away inside the top 5, and Rubliar got the worst of the chicane there. Gives Chamberlain a little bit of breathing room. Tom Bryan has been off the track. Jordan Daly going by Tom Bryant. Tom Bryant now has a drive-through penalty for track limits as well. The chicane doing everyone in tonight.
And that chicane, you just need to be so careful on it, because it's so easy to pick up those warnings, and it's only 4 now, and once you hit that 4th warning, that's the drive-through penalty. So that's the second RCI person to be hit by that. Tom Bryant will now pull into the pits and say goodbye to that beloved 8th place that he was loving so much, as Daly having a much better race this time around. He's still in it, and well, he's not had so many accidents yet, and he didn't have an accident the first lap like he did before, so Daly is definitely going to be happy with this performance. So we go back to Mikowski, who's managed to find Calandrino on track and is going to be looking for his way through here. So Mikowski started 15th and has had the pace for, well, he's been doing better than a lot of the people up in the top 3, so he's going to be certainly looking for that 4th position right now. He can't quite find a way through Calandrino, and I think Calandrino is going to be very harsh on defence, and Boardman is the 3rd person in this race to get drive-through penalties. So 3 drive-throughs now, and everyone's just struggling through those S's. But Fisher, I have just noticed, that is a huge gap he's built for Verstappen. It is just about 9 seconds now. He's having a dream race here, Jesse Lee.
Yeah, he is, but I was just looking up in front of these 2, and I saw Abeladze, but I also saw that Abeladze was right behind Verstappen, and they're all very close. Here it is. This is Abeladze on Verstappen, the BMW versus the Chevrolet. Andy Boardman, who got spun, has rebounded up to 12th. Very nice, but unfortunately for them, they have a drive-through penalty, and Vasiliev in the 111 also now with a drive-through penalty, and you guessed it, they picked it up coming through the chicane.
We're going to have to start writing down how many people are actually getting these drive-through penalties. It has been a race of drive-throughs, it seems, as this is the 4th person now to receive a drive-through penalty. So a lot more people
Chamberlain still.
Oh yeah, it looks like Rubliar is Is that Chamberlain or Rubio? I can't remember which livery is which now. I believe Rubio is actually holding off Chamberlain here. It might have gone around the outside, but Rubio is now ahead of Chamberlain going down into the next corner, which I believe is the old hairpin. And, well, Rubio has finally found that position back, and he's going to want to try and close that gap once again to Callan Jr. that he had before. And Abeladze, he's right there for Verstappen. He's going to be trying to find that way through again. Verstappen has not been able to hold that gap. And it looks like Rubio spun out completely. Chamberlain's hit him out. And he's facing the wrong way. That is not where Rubio wants to be.
Tim, what happened there was Rubliar hit the curb so hard it bounced him up the air, got him loose. Chamberlain didn't have anywhere to go but into the back of him, spun him right around.
That is so unfortunate, and we're going to watch that race replay here and see what happened. Yeah.
He didn't touch him. He didn't touch him, Tim.
Are you sure? I don't know. It looks like he hits that inside curb, and he might have got a little shunt from Chamberlain, which might have been the reason he actually went off the track there. But that's a job for the stewards, and we'll see what their verdict is on that one. But whether they touched or not, that is certainly a very unfortunate thing for Rubliar, who is... Oh, I can't even see him on the leaderboard now. Where's he gone? He's in 15th. There he is. So... Well, that's not what he wanted to see, and he has managed to slot himself back into that pack, but Rubliar, race just keeps going downhill, and it is really painful to watch, but that is very unfortunate end to Rubliar's race so far. He will be fighting for those lower positions now.
If Harley Chamberlain touched him, I don't know what to say. This is Floris Harsvard. And he's just running by himself. That's not the replay we were looking for, but I watched that back a third and a fourth time, Tim, and I'm still not sure if they made contact. Certainly, Rubliar got up over the backside of the curb, launched themselves, and it went a bit pear-shaped, to be honest, as this is Krzysztof Mikowski, who gets the job done, gets the pass done. And up net one more position for Mikowski inside the top four. Calandrino, judging by the language of that car, he didn't fight him too hard in the number 12. So Mikowski up to fourth place. Abeladze, by the way, still behind Verstappen, I should say, but only just as they come through the hairpin.
And it looks like Verstappen has just managed to shut that door, and he's gone over to the inside, so he will be defending still going into this next hairpin, as Abeladze can't quite manage to find the inside, but... Abeladze is going to be eager to find his way through. He's going to have a really good exit here, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough getting towards that first corner. Verstappen will be able to really judge which track position he wants, and I imagine he'll opt into having that racing line, which, I mean, it's a no-brainer really. But Mikowski, what brilliant pace he's had so far. He's been climbing through those positions, as we see Verstappen lose a little bit of grip there, but not enough to let Abeladze through. But the chase is on now for Mikowski. Can he catch up and start fighting for that podium, or is he going to just sit there pretty in fourth place and just take that home? Either way, I think he's going to be happy, but he needs to start picking up pace if he does want to catch up with that podium. Abeladze, he knows he can get through Verstappen here. He just needs to find the way through and make it stick. Verstappen is looking a lot more comfortable, albeit the track temperature is a lot lower, so he is going to be on a much colder set of tyres. And Verstappen is doing what we said he needs to do. He's trying to keep that racing line a lot better, and he's not dipping onto the curbs too much that he's starting to slow himself down those exits. It's just a case of, can Verstappen hold off Abeladze for 8 minutes and a half? I certainly think it's possible. We've seen Verstappen, we've seen what he can do. He's brilliant at defending. He did phenomenally at Imola in the defending, and actually I believe he managed to take a victory away at Imola from mostly his defending and then just waiting for that first place to open up again. So coming into the hairpins, it doesn't look like Abeladze's going to have a move to make here on Verstappen. He just has to keep that gap close enough within these 0.2 of a second, and then hopefully, I think if the move's going to happen anywhere, it is going to be on these hairpins, and it's just going to be a case of, can he do it within the next 8 minutes, or is he going to run out of time?
Well, he's definitely going to try it at some point, you'd have to think. Certainly doesn't want to throw away a podium here, but also knows that there's really no one in their sort of league, so to speak. So it's very much a 1v1 battle. I'm going to be a fanboy for a moment, Tim, if you don't mind. I always I love to play a game of where is Jordan Daly? Well, Jordan Daly's 6th all of a sudden. Chamberlain, with the issues that they had with Rubliar, Jordan Daly in 6th place. That's incredible. And one of my most favorite people. Well,
Oh,
Jordan, this is why we don't cut to you because you do stuff like that. Um, one of
oh,
my most
Abelardi's
favorite
going on the
people
inside of
ever.
Verstappen.
Oh, yeah, he's going to the inside, but will it? Can he make it count? It's going to be a tight corner and a little bit of contact. He's still on the outside. It's Verstappen not giving it up. He has a V8. He's going to power back in front and just about get clear. Does he cover him? Yes, he does. Into the chicane. An excellent defense by Verstappen. And I don't think any of us saw that coming. But what I was going to say was one of my favorite people in the world, Jake the Bosmeister Boswell, inside the top 10 in the 47, recently reignited his passion for sim racing and actually recently became a lot more proficient at ACC and then sort of fell in love with it after being sort of so-so with the simulator for a very long time. And it absolutely shows. A top 10 in the pro class. You get some, old man.
He has definitely come back with a spark and he is ready to fight. Been doing very well in this series so far in the top 10 for Jake Boswell. He's done amazingly in this race as he's actually right behind Eraser, so he might be able to find a little more positions yet. And oh, actually, it looks like he's dropped behind Buzek there, so maybe a little premature there on the guessing, but he's certainly going to be looking for a way back through Buzek. I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure there was a great fight to have seen there, but Mikowski, I said the chase is on, and the chase is on. He's 3.5 seconds off that podium position. We are watching what happened between Buzek and Boswell. It looks like we just missed it, so we have seen that Buzek did get ahead, probably on the hairpin just before that. But Mikowski, 3.5 seconds off that podium. He's in it to catch up, and it looks like he might. If
I wonder
can
if
hold up
it's in it.
Abelardi, it will be there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Tim. I was like, I wonder if it's in the cards. If he can do it, Verstappen is holding up Abelardi to what degree? Hard for us to really tell. It's some amount, but because I have to do it every stream, I've not been doing the maths. But if I were doing the maths, I'd reckon it's possible, Tim.
He's apparently doing 1.5 seconds quicker, so if we compare that to the race time that is left, he can just about catch up. It will have to be a final lap overtake unless Abelardi and Verstappen do slow down a bit, which I doubt either of them are going to be willing to do. But, I mean, what a fight so far. Verstappen has been holding off Abelardi for the past 7 minutes now and just been doing such a phenomenal job of it. I mean, we saw there Abelardi almost found his way through a couple of laps ago, had the inside line, had a brilliant exit, but Verstappen, I mean, I wasn't expecting to see that much speed out of a Chevrolet, and he just managed to get that much better exit on the outside line. Mikowski is still closing in. It's a 3-second gap, so if he continues to take out 1.5 seconds every lap, he is going to just about catch up for that final couple of laps. I know we shouldn't really be picking favourites, but I'm rooting for Mikowski to catch up here. I think this could be brilliant if he does. I mean, he's done phenomenal.
Oh,
and Verstappen's gone right there, and Abelardi is going to go through. And that is, again, Verstappen, 2 races in a row, missed the corner, not managed to make it stick, and Abelardi's going to walk right through. So, a big shame there for Verstappen, but, I mean, 8 minutes of defending. It's going to get to you, and he's done such a good job so far, but Abelardi will be happy to take that second place. We are going to watch him come through here. This is just the end of that replay as he gets through the inside on Verstappen here, and well, what a fight that has been, and wow, this race has been so good so far.
Yeah, complete opposite of race 1, wasn't it, where it was a crash fest. This race, we've seen so much good racing and a change for position for second. Abelardi will, if he can hold on to this, minimize the damage by Fisher winning this race, and it is still going to be a very close race between Verstappen and Abelardi coming into the middle part of the season, as Mikowski is still coming, and if he gets by Verstappen, that will be very interesting indeed. That'll help Abelardi out. That'll also help Fisher out because of the hole that Fisher was in race 1. Well, you know what they say, Tim? If we don't show you on TV, that either means you're doing really well or doing really bad. Well, Garrett Fisher is definitely doing really good. 12 seconds now out in front of Abeladze. You have to wonder what might have been had it been a straight up fight between the two of them. But unfortunately, that's not how racing works. And Fisher has made the absolute best out of a bad situation. You have a terrible race one, you come back and win race two, and it doesn't fix it, but it makes it a lot better. It gives you more confidence, and you basically, as a racing driver, just forget race one ever happened if you come back and win. And that's what Garrett Fisher's doing here.
And it's not all about pace, but obviously we will see who is quicker more so between Fisher and Abeladze, as Fisher has just made this gap absolutely huge. We're still waiting to see the exact time. That is how big it is, and it's just about 12 seconds now. So Fisher's had a dream race. He got into that first place, and he sat there into his laps. I do hope he's being careful. It would be such a shame now if he got a drive through or if he spun out, but with a 12-second gap and only 1 minute to go in the race, you can be as careful as you like, really. He just got to drive it to the end, and I'd say this is pretty much guaranteed. It looks like Abeladze might be a little bit faster in some sections of the track, but I think that's a good fight that we'll see another day, and hopefully in the rest of the season we will see Fisher and Abeladze battle it out on the circuit, as we see Verstappen hasn't fallen off Abeladze as she did last time, so the window's still there. If Abeladze goes wide, Verstappen is just going to come right back through, and he's kept that gap tight as Mikowski is starting to drop off a little bit now. A brilliant catch-up game he has done from 15th all the way up to 4th, and to close that gap, I think it was about 5-6 seconds. It's now only 2.5 to 3rd place. He has definitely been my driver of the day so far, and from like you say, a very different from the first race. First race was a lot of chaos, a lot of people getting positions based on others' misfortune. This to me has been the drivers have driven as fast as they can, and the ones who have had the pace have been rewarded, and it has been brilliant to watch so far. These have been some phenomenal moves as we are coming to the last lap of the race.
Oh, I see what he's doing. He's doing it. Garrett Fisher did not want to have to run an extra lap, hits the brakes at the finish line, and will end the race. Garrett Fisher, a brilliant race, will win here, completely erasing the dramas of race one and erasing any doubt that he could be a championship competitor. Abeladze will come home second, breaking a 3-race win streak, and Verstappen in the Chevrolet will finish third. Mikowski fourth, Calandrino holds on to fifth, Daly sixth, Chamberlain, Crozen, Arasser, Buchek is your top 10. An absolutely fantastic race, the exact opposite of race one and textbook in every meaning of the word for how you're supposed to race. That was race two here at Donington. Boswell, Sarka, Matushka, Svinček, Rubliar with another disappointing race. You got to feel for the 17 of Rubliar and Hosford as well. And Tom Bryant while we're at it. Andy Boardman as well. All of those either having major dramas or drive-through penalties. Phil Roberts, Nathan McConnell, Vasiliev, and Wig. Other than the two immediate retirements, everyone who took the green flag anyway, Tim Peck, finished that race. What a brilliant race too.
That was absolutely brilliant. Well done to Fisher there. Brilliant first lap, got him in first place. Oh, a brilliant first corner. He went round the outside and he just made it stick, and he really did show what his pace could do there. He's had a phenomenal race. I can't help but think, and this may just be being a bit cynical here, maybe it wasn't the right choice to park on the line. Yes, it saved his race and it just really secured that first place, but I think he'd have been okay anyway. And to be honest, if anything, he's helped Abeladze there, who didn't have to really defend for another lap, because Verstappen was still very close, as you can see. He was 8 tenths off, so we're seeing a bit of chaos in the final corner now. Of course, it doesn't matter.
They're having fun. Boys will be boys, Tim Peck.
It is bumper cars time for the GT4s, and they are allowed to do it now because the race is over. And as we see, they were just familiarising themselves with the grass. But a brilliant race two was. A brilliant race one was, but a little more dirty at that. And I must say, this has reinforced what I said earlier. Donington is my favourite track on this game so far.
Yes, indeed. Well, it was a fantastic race or fantastic weekend if you were Abeladze, a win and a second place finish, his lowest finish in the past 2 weeks is second place out of 4 tries. Doesn't get much better than that. Well, it certainly was a contrast of two races. The first race crash field, the second race absolutely brilliant racing throughout the field. And I suspect Abeladze will have some form of championship lead. It will be fairly decent, I would argue. And of course, the second place position is the one that I'm most interested in. Is it going to be Verstappen or Fisher? I wonder. I reckon Verstappen might actually have a few point lead on Fisher, but then Fisher won the last race, so I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to tune in next week to find out. And speaking of course, tomorrow night, the Friday Endurance Championship continues. Myself and Joshua will be on that call with Stewie behind the cameras. Night Owl continues as well with myself and Ryan Mawson, Nick behind the cameras. And that on Saturday, of course. And on Monday, the continuation of the Monday Lambeau Cup had their first round a week ago. Ryan Gill and Joshua on the call for that. And we'll be right back with you here on Thursday for the continuation of the GT4 Championship. Christian Stricker will be on the cameras. It'll probably be Josh and Tim with you in 1 week's time. If not, I will likely be here back with you. Tim, always a pleasure.
And thank you very much for joining us today, Jesse Lee. And Snetterton, race 4. So we're back in British next week. And, well, Snetterton is an interesting track. The GT4s certainly seem to love it. And I imagine the fight for the championship will continue. I think, as you were saying earlier, Verstappen might have the edge over Fisher, seeing as he finished second in both races. So he's going to have that main bulk of points, really, keeping him forward. But what a championship this is turning out to be. And, well, thank you very much for joining me again today, Jesse Lee.
My pleasure. Well, thank you to our partners as well, Race Department, AK Informatica, Driver 61, Fanatec, and Sim Racing GP. And thank you all for watching as well. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Join us tomorrow for the Friday Enduro Championship. Saturday, come back Monday. We would love to have you in the chat. We'll be back with you in 1 week's time as well. On behalf of everybody here on the staff of RCI, I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Tim and Christian on the cameras. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.